Welcome to the special edition of the Ultimate Sports Podcast 2019-20 NBA Seasons Predictions Edition. The deal is I'm going to go through the standings. I'm going to go through my award picks and obviously my playoff and finals, breakout players, make or break players, bust players for the season, best rookies, and a lot more to come. Without further ado, here we go. The Eastern Conference, my number one seed, with a record of 57-25, the Milwaukee Bucks. My number two seed with a record of 55-27, the Philadelphia 76ers. My number three seed with a record of 50-32, the Boston Celtics. Fourth seed with a record of 47-35, the Brooklyn Nets. 5 seed with the record of 46-36, the Indiana Pacers. 6 seed with the record of 45-37, the Toronto Raptors. 7 seed with the record of 44-38, the Miami Heat. The 8th spot with a record of 42-40, the Atlanta Hawks. You heard that right. 9, I have the Detroit Pistons at 39-43. 10th, Orlando, 37-45. 11, Chicago Bulls at 32-50. 12, the Cleveland Cavaliers at 30-52. 13, the Washington Wizards at 28-54. 14, the New York Knicks at 27-55. 15, the Charlotte Hornets at 17-65. The Milwaukee Bucks had the best record in the NBA a season ago, and I expect them to have the best record in the Eastern Conference again this season. Reigning league MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo leads the way, and Chris Middleton returns after resigning with the team in the summer, as well as Brook Lopez. Wesley Matthews and Eric Bledsoe is the starting backcourt, and Matthews isn't the same player he was 5 seasons ago, and Bledsoe is terrible in the playoffs. The bench features the likes of George Hill, Dante DiVincenzo, Kyle Korver, and Robin Lopez. The loss of Malcolm Brogdon will hurt this team, but they should survive in the regular season. The Philadelphia 76ers pretty much remade their team in the offseason, and I think their additions could offset their losses of Jimmy Butler and J.J. Redick. Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons are the team's foundation, and Tobias Harris and new additions Josh Richardson and Al Horford round out the starting 5. Their bench features the likes of Trey Burke, Zaire Smith, Furkan Korkmaz, and Mike Scott. The Boston Celtics are a team that is very fascinating coming into the season, with the Kyrie Irving experience coming to a disastrous end, and they replace him by signing Kemba Walker. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and either Enes Kanter or Daniel Theis round out the starting 5. One of the 2 centers I listed, as well as guys like Semi Ojeleye, Marcus Smart, Robert Williams, and rookies Carson Edwards and Grant Williams round out the bench. The Brooklyn Nets stole major headlines this offseason by signing Kevin Durant, who likely won't play this season as he's recovering from his Achilles injury, and Kyrie Irving. Karis LeVert, Joe Harris, and Rodions Caruso all had moments last season, and those 3, along with Irving and DeAndre Jordan, round out the starting 5. Jarrett Allen should start at center over Jordan, and he, along with Spencer Dinwiddie, Garrett Temple, and Wilson Chandler, are going to be bench guys. The Indiana Pacers are a team that could be better or worse than my projecting, depending on when Victor Oladipo comes back from injury. Malcolm Brogdon was the big addition to this team in trade acquisition. TJ Warren, Domantas Sabonis, and Miles Turner round out the starting 5. Jeremy Lamb will start in place of Oladipo while he's out, and other reserves include Aaron Holiday, TJ McConnell, Doug McDermott, and Justin Holiday. The Toronto Raptors are your reigning NBA champions, but a step back is expected due to the departure of Kawhi Leonard. Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, Marc Gasol, Serge Ibaka, and Fred VanVleet are still around, and I think that is their best 5. Other players that will be relied on are O.J. Anunoby, Norman Powell, and Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, and Anunoby is the wild card here because he has potential that he has not reached yet. The Miami Heat should return to the postseason this year with the addition of Jimmy Butler and due to the infrastructure they have there. Butler, Justice Winslow, Tyler Herro, Kelly Olynyk, and Bam Adebayo, I believe, will be the starting 5, at least to start the season, because Dion Waiters is currently suspended by the team, and he, along with Goran Dragic, might both be coming off the bench, and other bench guys include Myers Leonard and James Johnson. The Atlanta Hawks are my surprise pick to make the postseason this year because they have a lot of young talent headlined by Trae Young and John Collins and a coach in Lloyd Pierce who had the team playing hard most of the last season. Young, Collins, Kevin Huerter, rookie DeAndre Hunter, and Alex Len round out the starting five. Veteran Vince Carter, Jabari Parker, DeAndre Bembry, and rookie Cam Reddish are notable bench players. The Detroit Pistons made the postseason a season ago, but I have too many questions and concerns with this team's makeup to pencil them back in. Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond is an awkward front court fit, and both guys are often injured. Reggie Jackson is somebody that never stays healthy at the point and has not lived up to that contract he got when he was healthy, and he still hasn't lived up to it. Bruce Brown is slated to start at the 2 guard and Tony Snell at the 3, and I don't love those perimeter guys whatsoever. Their bench features the likes of Langston Galloway, Luke Kennard, Derrick Rose, and Sviatoslav Mykhailiuk. The Orlando Magic had a nice season last year, but I don't see them repeating their success, although Steve Clifford is a very good head coach. Nikola Vucevic, Evan Fournier, and Aaron Gordon have been around for a while, and other starters are slated to be Jonathan Isaacs and DJ Augustine. Bench guys include Markelle Fultz, Michael Carter-Williams, Terrence Ross, and Mo Bamba. The Chicago Bulls are a team that people think can surprise, but I think they are a year or two away. Their young core includes Lauri Markkanen, Zach LaVine, Wendell Carter Jr., and rookie Kobe White. New acquisition Thomas Satoransky is slated to start at point guard, and Otto Porter is slated to start at the 3. Veteran Thad Young is slated to come off the bench. The Cleveland Cavaliers have a new head coach in John Beilein, who comes over from Michigan. Colin Sexton and rookie Darius Garland make a fun backcourt, and Cedi Osman, Kevin Love, and Tristan Thompson round out the starting 5. Bench guys include Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., and Matthew Dellavedova. The Washington Wizards are a team that's in for a long season. John Wall is out this season with a torn meniscus. Bradley Beal, Ish Smith, CJ Miles, rookie Rui Hachimura, and Thomas Bryant is the projected starting 5. Bench guys include Jan Mahimny, Davis Bertans, and Isaiah Thomas. The New York Knicks are a team that had perhaps the worst summer in the league, with missing out on top free agents, and here they are, still rebuilding. Rookie R.J. Barrett, Dennis Smith Jr., Marcus Morris, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson are the projected starting 5. Youngsters Kevin Knox and Frank Ntilikina are slated to come off the bench, as well as free agent adds Alfred Payton, Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, and Taj Gibson. The Charlotte Hornets are easily the worst team in the NBA this season. Out is Kemba Walker, and replacing him is Terry Rozier, and he, Nick Batum, Dwayne Bacon, Miles Bridges, and Cody Zeller are the projected starting 5. Guys like Malik Monk, P.J. Washington, Bismack Biyombo, and Michael Kidd-Gilchrist are bench players. The Western Conference, with the number 1 seed, with a record of 57-25, the Denver Nuggets. My number 2 seed with a record of 55-27, the Utah Jazz. My number 3 seed with the record of 54-28, the Los Angeles Clippers. My number 4 seed with the record of 52-30, the Los Angeles Lakers. My 5 seed with the record of 50-32, the Houston Rockets. My number 6 seed with the record of 47-35, the Golden State Warriors. My number 7 seed with the record of 46-36, the Portland Trailblazers. And my number 8 team with the record of 45-37, the San Antonio Spurs. The rest of the grump from the West: number 9, New Orleans Pelicans at 41-41, 10, Dallas Mavericks 39-43, 11, Sacramento Kings 37-43, 12, Oklahoma City Thunder 33-49, 13, the Minnesota Timberwolves 30-52, 14, the Memphis Grizzlies at 27-55, and 15, the Phoenix Suns at 25-57. The Denver Nuggets had a great season last year, finishing in second in the Western Conference, and now I have them getting the top seed in the West. Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray headlined this team's core, and the rest of the starting five is Paul Millsap, Will Barton, and Gary Harris. Michael Porter Jr. could end up starting for this team if he lives up to potential. The rest of the bench consists of new addition Jeremy Grant, Malik Beasley, Monte Morris, Torrey Craig, Juan Hernan-Gomez, and Bol Bol. The Utah Jazz are a team that I expect to make a big regular season jump. Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert are this team's foundational pieces, and the rest of the starting five consists of new additions Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, and Jeff Green. Off the bench are guys like Joe Ingles, Emmanuel Mudiay, Royce O'Neal, and Ed Davis. The Los Angeles Clippers made big headlines this summer, landing both Kawhi Leonard in free agency and Paul George via trade. Joining them in the starting five are Patrick Beverley, JaMychal Green, and Ivica Zubac. Landry Shamet will likely start in place of George, who will miss the first few weeks of the season with a shoulder injury. The rest of the bench consists of Sixth Man of the Year candidate Lou Williams, Rodney McGruder, Mo Harkless, and Montrezl Harrell. The Los Angeles Lakers took some headlines too by acquiring Anthony Davis to pair him up with LeBron James, who has a giant chip on his shoulder this season. JaVale McGee, new addition Danny Green, and Avery Bradley round out the starting five. I do think they should go small ball at some points and potentially start Rajon Rondo or even Kyle Kuzma at times depending on the matchups. Other reserves include Dwight Howard, Jared Dudley, Contavious Caldwell-Pope, and Quinn Cook. The Houston Rockets were another team that made some interesting headlines by swapping out Chris Paul for Russell Westbrook to pair with James Harden in what should be a fascinating reunited backcourt. The rest of the starting five is looking like Clint Capella, Danielle House, and PJ Tucker. Gerald Green might miss the whole season with a broken foot, so that hurts the depth of the team. Other reserves include Eric Gordon, Austin Rivers, Tyson Chandler, and Nene Hilario. The Golden State Warriors are expected to take a step back this season due to the departure of Kevin Durant and that Klay Thompson may miss the entire year recovering from his torn ACL. Stephen Curry and Draymond Green are still around, and the team signed D'Angelo Russell this summer, a part of the package that sent Durant to Brooklyn. The two other starters are slated to be Glenn Robinson III and Kevon Looney. The bench features the likes of Willie Cauley-Stein, Amari Spellman, Alec Burks, and Jordan Poole. The Portland Trail Blazers could be a team in which it would not surprise me if their season goes better or worse than I project. Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum are the team's main guys as they run their backcourt. New addition Hassan Whiteside, Zach Collins, and Rodney Hood round out their starting five. Reserves include Anthony Simmons, Kent Bazemore, and Mario Hezonja. And Jusuf Nurkic is supposed to come back at some point this season. The San Antonio Spurs are a team that I doubted a season ago, and people are doubting them this season, but I think they defied the odds yet again. Veterans LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan are still around, and the team gets back talented point guard DeJounte Murray from a torn ACL. Derek White and Jakob Poeltl round out the starting five. Reserves include Rudy Gay, Patty Mills, Marco Bellinelli, and DeMarre Carroll. The New Orleans Pelicans have high expectations this season, but things just got challenging for this team as top overall pick Zion Williamson just got knee surgery and is out 6 to 8 weeks. Lonzo Ball, Drew Holiday, Brandon Ingram, and Derek Favors round out the starting five. Bench players include Jahlil Okafor, who may start in place of Zion, J.J. Redick, Josh Hart, and rookies Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Jackson Hayes. And by the way, Okafor will play Zion in the starting lineup while Zion's out. That's what I meant. The Dallas Mavericks are a team that expectations are higher for, with Luka Doncic entering his second season and Kristaps Porzingis making his Mavs debut after they traded for him last season while he was recovering from a torn ACL. The rest of the starters are DeLon Wright, Tim Hardaway Jr., and Dwight Powell. The reserves aren't bad, led by Boban Marjanovic, Jalen Brunson, JJ Barea, Seth Curry, and Maxi Kleber. The Sacramento Kings are a team with raised expectations due to a young core headlined by De'Aaron Fox, Buddy Hield, and Marvin Bagley. Harrison Barnes and new addition Dwayne Dedman are the other two starters. Reserves include Harry Giles, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and Trevor Ariza. The Oklahoma City Thunder are a team that's enduring a rebuild after trading away Russell Westbrook and Paul George. Chris Paul came in the Westbrook deal as well as a bunch of draft picks. The rest of the starters include Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who is the prize of the George deal, Andre Roberson, Daniel Gallinari, who also came in the George deal, and Steven Adams. Reserves include Dennis Schroeder, Nerlens Noel, and Terrence Ferguson. The Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that cannot seem to get out of its own way. Karl Anthony Towns is a sensational talent, but he's somebody that is not a very good defensive player, and he's somebody that hasn't been the best player on a playoff team. Andrew Wiggins is somebody that has not put it all together throughout his career. The rest of the starting five includes Jeff Teague, Josh Okogie, and Robert Covington. Reserves include rookie Jarrett Culver, Jake Layman, and Noah Vonleh. The Memphis Grizzlies are a team that has a chance to surprise folks this season thanks to two talented young players in rookie Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. The other starters include Dillon Brooks, Jay Crowder, and Jonas Valanciunas. Reserves include Grayson Allen, Tyus Jones, Josh Jackson, and Kyle Anderson. The Phoenix Suns made some interesting moves to make themselves more respectable. The young core is headlined by Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton. The rest of the starters include new addition Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, and trade-add Dario Saric. Reserves include Javon Carter, Elio Kobo, rookie Cameron Johnson, Mikal Bridges, and Aaron Baines. 2020 NBA Playoffs. First round, Eastern Conference, 8-seeded Atlanta Hawks versus 1-seeded Milwaukee Bucks. There is some star power here with Giannis Antetokounmpo against Trae Young and John Collins, but the Bucks should sweep Mike Budenholzer's ex-team. So the pick, Bucks in 4 games. 7-seeded Miami Heat versus the 2-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. These two teams hooked up in the playoffs 2 seasons ago, and the Sixers came out on top. Both teams are better now than they were 2 seasons ago, but the Sixers still have the advantage with Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, with good pieces around them. And don't forget the revenge angle here with Jimmy Butler on one side and Josh Richardson on the other. Prediction, 76ers in 6 games. 6-seeded Toronto Raptors versus the 3-seeded Boston Celtics. 2 divisional rivals facing off here. The reigning champion season ends against a Celtics team that could look a little different than it does now with a few trades, although the key players here are Kemba Walker and Jason Tatum. The prediction, Celtics in 5 games. 5-seeded Indiana Pacers versus 4-seeded Brooklyn Nets. This should be an interesting series between two teams in which expectations are higher for in terms of Eastern Conference teams. If Kevin Durant somehow came back for the playoffs, the Nets would be the easy choice here. The best player in this series, if healthy, could be Victor Oladipo, and I could see him and Malcolm Brogdon having big series, and I'm going to take the Pacers in an upset special. So the prediction, Pacers in 6 games. Western Conference number 8 seed San Antonio Spurs versus 1-seeded Denver Nuggets. Here's a matchup we saw in last season's first round that went 7 games. I see the Nuggets led by Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray getting by the Spurs for a second straight season. The prediction, Nuggets in 6 games. 7-seeded Portland Trailblazers versus 2-seeded Utah Jazz. This should be a fun series headlined by 4 great guards in Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Donovan Mitchell, and Mike Conley. The difference in this series is the new additions for the Jazz, which helped address their previous lack of shooting. So the prediction, Jazz in 6 games. 6-seeded Golden State Warriors versus 3-seeded Los Angeles Clippers. These two teams met in the postseason last year, and the Warriors came out on top. I think the series will go the same number of games as last season's series, except the Clippers will come out on top, led by Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. Prediction, Clippers in 6 games. 5-seeded Houston Rockets versus the 4-seeded Los Angeles Lakers. This is easily the best series of the projected 8 first-round matchups. LeBron James, Anthony Davis, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook headline the stardom, and don't forget these teams got at it last season, although Chris Paul was involved and not Westbrook. And I could see Westbrook getting involved in something like this, by the way. It's just his personality and the kind of player he is. That said, the better and the deeper team is the Lakers, and this thing will go to distance. So the prediction, Lakers in 7 games. Semifinals, Eastern Conference number 5 seed Indiana Pacers versus 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. This should be an interesting second-round series with these division rivals. Brogdon has revenge on his mind, but Antetokounmpo is a man on the mission and easily the best guy in this series, and I expect them to get to their second straight conference finals. Prediction, Bucks in 5 games. 3-seeded Boston Celtics versus the 2-seeded Philadelphia 76ers. Another division rival series in the second round. These two teams hooked up 2 seasons ago, as well as the Celtics won that series. And I think they won that series in 6 or 7 games, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember. I think it went 5. I think that was a short series, the more I think about it. Yeah, that was a short series, and Philly was competitive. But anyway, Al Horford is going to want to do damage against his former team, and he, Embiid, and Simmons will lead the Sixers to the conference finals for the first time since 2001. Prediction, 76ers in 6 games. Western Conference 4-seed Los Angeles Lakers versus 1-seeded Denver Nuggets. This should be another fun series between 2 very good teams. The Nuggets may look a little different in April and May because of possible trades, but the Lakers have more depth and have the best players in this series in LeBron James and Anthony Davis, and will be in the conference finals for the first time in 10 seasons. Prediction, Lakers in 6 games. Western Conference 3-seeded Clippers against the 2-seeded Utah Jazz. This screams a defensive-minded, low-scoring kind of series. The star power of Leonard and George is what ultimately will prevail for the Clippers as they advance to their first conference finals in franchise history. Prediction, Clippers in 6 games. The conference finals. The East, Philadelphia 76ers, your 2 seed, against the 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks. This matchup seems inevitable as these two teams are on a collision course for the conference supermassive. It kind of feels like in baseball, Yankees-Astros, and how we thought that was inevitable before the baseball season this past year, that was going to be the ALCS. Bucks 76ers feels the same way in the Eastern Conference in the NBA. This should be an entertaining series with star power abound, but the better team is the 76ers, who advanced to their first NBA Finals in 19 seasons. The prediction, 76ers in 6 games. Western Conference Finals. 4-seeded Los Angeles Lakers versus the 3-seeded Los Angeles Clippers. This is the dream matchup that everyone and their brothers want to see. Same city, same home arena, 4 mega superstars, roster depth on both sides, good coaches, and ratings will be through the roof for TNT. What makes me lean towards the Clippers in this series is the fact that Leonard and George are the guys that can defend LeBron the best, and I think they'll go to their first ever NBA Finals. So the prediction, Clippers in 7 games in the Battle of Los Angeles. And the NBA Finals, Western Conference 3-seeded Los Angeles Clippers versus the Eastern Conference number 2 seed Philadelphia 76ers. This should be such a fun NBA Finals. These two teams made perhaps the best offseason moves to set themselves up to win this year. Leonard, George, Embiid, and Simmons headline the stars in this series. Both of these teams are excellent defensively as well. What gives me a significant edge to the Clippers here is that they have the clear-cut coaching advantage with Doc Rivers over Brett Brown, and I think that the Clippers will host their first ever Larry O'Brien Trophy and win the 2019-20 NBA Championship. So the prediction, the Los Angeles Clippers in 7 games over the Philadelphia 76ers. Okay, now I'm going to do my predictions for the awards for the season. The MVP, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I think Giannis repeats for MVP. He's the best player in the league right now. I think some people are doubting the Bucks, and I think Giannis is going to have that on his mind throughout the season. So he's my pick to repeat. And my runner-up is Nikola Jokic of the Nuggets, who I have as the Western Conference #1 seed. And I think that he'll be the leader of that team, triple-doubles a lot, and he's somebody that I think will actually improve his all-around game a little bit more. The Defensive Player of the Year, Rudy Gobert, Utah Jazz. This guy is just a monster at the rim, and he's somebody that really has improved year by year by year, and even is developing even a little bit of an offensive game. So my Defensive Player of the Year, I believe for the second straight year, Rudy Gobert. And my runner-up, Joel Embiid of the Philadelphia 76ers. And you're asking me why Embiid? Because Embiid's somebody whose defensive game has really improved drastically. And if he stays healthy, I think he could be in play for this award. The Rookie of the Year, Zion Williamson. This is probably the lock of the year in terms of the NBA season, in terms of awards. The only way this doesn't happen is if Zion is out longer than 8 weeks and there's another injury and he misses half the season. He's Zion Williamson. He's the biggest name rookie in sports that we've seen probably since Andrew Luck with the Colts back in 2012. So I really love Zion, and he's going to really help his team. And I have to admit something. I had the Pelicans penciled in as 1 game back of the 8 seed San Antonio Spurs. I had them at 43 and 39. And I believe I had the Spurs at 44 and 38 or something like that. I had them 1 game back of the playoffs. But I took the Spurs over them because I thought that the hype would get to the Pelicans a little bit. And quite frankly, Greg Popovich over Alvin Gentry 100 times out of 100. But anyway, Zion's my Rookie of the Year. I think he's very special, and he's really going to revive that franchise. And my runner-up is Ja Morant, who I think is going to be phenomenal. I love this kid, and he's going to prove some doubters wrong out there. The Sixth Man of the Year, I'm going to go with Lou Williams of the Clippers. He's somebody that wins this award all the time, and I think he'll continue to do so on a team that I picked to win the championship. And my runner-up, Joe Ingles of the Utah Jazz. This guy has been pushed back to the bench, and I think he'll thrive as a sixth man. So I'm going to go with Joe Ingles as my runner-up. My most improved player, Karis LeVert of the Brooklyn Nets. This guy probably would have won the award last year had he not gotten injured, or he was certainly on his way to winning it. But instead, his teammate, D'Angelo Russell, I believe, was a finalist for the award, but eventually lost to Pascal Siakam. So I think LeVert will be the second fiddle to Irving this year in Brooklyn, and really maybe potentially could emerge as his 1B before Kevin Durant's back next season. And maybe he's somebody that they can flip into a trade piece a la D'Angelo Russell last year, because they certainly got a lot of value back for him. They got Durant, and I believe the Warriors threw in a pick in that deal. I think that there should have been a pick swap in that trade. But anyway, Karis LeVert, most improved player. And my runner-up, Trae Young of the Atlanta Hawks. I think that Young is somebody that will be in the top 20 in scoring in the NBA this year, and someone who I think that whose turnovers will go down, assists will go up, and maybe his defense even improves a little bit. And his teammate John Collins, I think, will be in play for the award as well. My Coach of the Year, Lloyd Pierce of the Atlanta Hawks. I have them as the 8th seed in the East, so NBA Coach of the Year normally goes to somebody who overachieves. I think the Hawks overachieved this year, so I'm going to give it to Lloyd Pierce. My runner-up, Mike Budenholzer of the Bucks. I think people are doubting them a little bit because of the loss of Malcolm Brogdon, and I think that they're going to be the 1 seed in the East. So give me Bud for the runner-up for Coach of the Year, as his successor in Atlanta takes home the hardware. Executive of the Year, I'm going to go with the Michael Wagner, Jerry West combo, whatever won in Los Angeles. I assume Jerry West because he's the bigger name out in Los Angeles, just for landing Kawhi and Paul George. That's just masterful job by those guys in that franchise. And my runner-up for this, Elton Brand of the 76ers. I think he swung a fair deal with the Heat for Jimmy Butler for Josh Richardson. I think Richardson's a very good defensive player and occasionally somebody that can have a heat check kind of game. So they kind of go cheaper a little bit in replacing J.J. Redick and get a better defender at that position. And obviously they go out and sign Al Horford to be a versatile big guy for them. In case Embiid's hurt, they can plug him in at center. And there's a lot of things they can do with Horford. So 2 fantastic pickups by Elton Brand. To me, he's my runner-up, and I have them as obviously the runners-up in the NBA championship as I have the Clippers over them in the NBA Finals. All-NBA first team, Stephen Curry, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic. All-NBA second team, Kemba Walker, Paul George, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid. All-NBA third team, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, Al Horford, Rudy Gobert. All-defensive first team, Patrick Beverley, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis, Rudy Gobert. All-defense second team, Ben Simmons, Drew Holiday, Robert Covington, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid. Next up, best rookies. The Atlanta Hawks, DeAndre Hunter. The Boston Celtics, Grant Williams. Although I think there's a chance he may be traded. So instead, I am going to go with Carson Edwards as their backup point guard. The next, I'm going to go with Nicholas Claxton. The Hornets, P.J. Washington. The Bulls, Kobe White. Cavaliers, Darius Garland. Mavericks, Josh Reeves. Nuggets, Michael Porter Jr., and that comes with an asterisk because he's supposed to be in his second year, but this is really his rookie season. The Pistons, Louis King. The Warriors, Jordan Poole. Rockets, Chris Clemens. Pacers, Goga Bitadze. Clippers, Mfiondu Kabengele. Lakers, Talen Horton-Tucker. Grizzlies, John Morant. Heat, Tyler Herro. Bucks, Luke May. Timberwolves, Jarrett Culver. Pelicans, Zion Williamson. Knicks, R.J. Barrett. Thunder, LeGwent Dort. Magic, Daquan Jeffries. 76ers, Matthias Thybulle. Suns, Ty Jerome. Blazers, Nasir Little. Kings, Kyle Guy. Spurs, Keldon Johnson. Raptors, O'Shea Brissett. Jazz, Mie Oni. Wizards, Rui Hachimura. Breakout players. The Hawks, Trae Young. Although John Collins is another good one, so you could argue the Hawks have 2, but I'm going to go with Trae Young. Celtics, Jason Tatum. Nets, Karis LeVert. Hornets, Miles Bridges. Bulls, Lauri Markkanen. Cavs, Colin Sexton. Mavericks, Luka Doncic. Nuggets, Jamal Murray. Pistons, Luke Kennard. Warriors, Willie Cauley-Stein. Rockets, Gary Clark. Pacers, Domantas Sabonis. Clippers, Ivica Zubac. Lakers, Kyle Kuzma. Grizzlies, Jaren Jackson Jr. Heat, Justice Winslow. Bucks, Dante DiVincenzo. Timberwolves, Josh Okogie. Pelicans, Lonzo Ball. Knicks, Dennis Smith Jr. Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Magic, Jonathan Isaacs. 76ers, Furkan Korkmaz. Suns, DeAndre Ayton. Blazers, Zach Collins. Kings, De'Aaron Fox. Spurs, DeJounte Murray. Raptors, Fred VanVleet. Jazz, Gorgas Niang. Wizards, Thomas Bryant. Flop players. These are players I think will be disappointing this year for their respective teams, whether it's because guys are overpaid and I don't think they're going to play the worth of their contract. Young guys that I think expectations are too high for, or any other random reason. Hawks, Kevin Huerter. Reasoning, the latter of what I mean by flop player. Celtics, Gordon Hayward. In this case, it would be the former, which is the overpaid player. Nets, DeAndre Jordan. Hornets, Bismack Biyombo. Bulls, Thomas Satoransky. Cavs, Tristan Thompson. Mavs, JJ Barea. Nuggets, Paul Millsap. Pistons, Andre Drummond. Warriors, Kevin Looney. Rockets, Nene Hilario. Pacers, Doug McDermott. Clippers, Patrick Patterson. Lakers, Dwight Howard. Grizzlies, Jake Crowder. Heat, Dion Waiters. Bucks, Wesley Matthews. Timberwolves, Jake Layman. Pelicans, Jahlil Okafor. Knicks, Mitchell Robinson. Thunder, Chris Paul. Magic, DJ Augustine. 76ers, James Hennis. Suns, Ricky Rubio. Blazers, Hassan Whiteside. Kings, Trevor Ariza. Spurs, Rudy Gay. Raptors, Serge Ibaka. Jazz, Emmanuel Mudiay. Wizards, Davis Bertans. Make or break players. Hawks, DeAndre Bembry. Celtics, Jaylen Brown. Nets, Jarrett Allen. Hornets, Malik Monk. Bulls, Denzel Valentine. Cavs, Jordan Clarkson. Mavericks, Justin Jackson. Nuggets, Juan Hernangomez. Pistons, Reggie Jackson. Warriors, Marquise Chris. Rockets, Ben McLemore. Pacers, Miles Turner. Clippers, Jerome Robinson. Lakers, Troy Daniels. Grizzlies, Josh Jackson. Heat, Myers Leonard. Bucks, Eric Bledsoe. Timberwolves, Andrew Wiggins. Pelicans, Brandon Ingram. Knicks, Frank Ntilikina. Thunder, Nerlens Noel. Magic, Markelle Fultz. 76ers, Trey Burke. Suns, Frank Kaminsky. Blazers, Skal Labissiere. Kings, Harry Giles. Spurs, Damari Carroll. Raptors, Rondae Hollis Jefferson. The Jazz, Royce O'Neal. Wizards, Isaiah Thomas. And last but not least, my favorite segment, the power rankings and the bold predictions. I'm going to go from 3 to 1. When I do power rankings, I always go from 3 to 1. It makes it more fun. Number 30 of the Charlotte Hornets. They're easily the worst team in the NBA. And my bold prediction for them is that James Brizo will be fired at the end of the season. I just think this team's terrible. Maybe he's fired mid-season. That wouldn't shock me. But at least at the end of the season, the Charlotte Hornets will be looking for yet another new head coach. Number 29, the New York Knicks. I think this is the second worst team in the league, although you could argue Cavs, Suns, and a bunch of other teams. And my prediction for the Knicks is that David Fizdale will also be out of a job. I just think that there's going to be some pressure on him to win 35 or more games to survive, and I just don't see that with the Knicks. I just don't think that some of their guys are ready to make leaps like they think, and I think that they actually trade away some of these veterans as well at the deadline and beforehand to make their team a little worse. And they'll actually blame the coach for the lack of player development if they don't trade some of those veterans. 28, the Phoenix Suns. My bold prediction for them is that Kelly Oubre will be traded to the Milwaukee Bucks for a first-round pick and DJ Wilson. I think the Bucks have a hole at small forward, and he'd just slide in right away, right there, and then you move Chris Middleton to 2-guard, Giannis at the 4, Brook Lopez at the 5, and then Eric Bledsoe at point guard, and you get rid of Wesley Matthews. So, makes a lot of sense for Milwaukee. 27's the Cleveland Cavaliers. My bold prediction for them is that they trade Kevin Love to the Portland Trail Blazers for Hassan Whiteside and the first-round pick. I just think that Portland needs to upgrade its bigs, and so they could slide him right there at power forward. And then Zach Collins, I guess, will be regulated to the bench, unfortunately for him. Or maybe he could start at center or alongside Kevin Love if Jusuf Nurkic isn't right. So they have some options with Zach Collins. The Timberwolves, my bold prediction for them is that the Karl-Anthony Towns trade rumors will begin swirling like Anthony Davis last season. It's going to be something like that. You'll see Woj tweet out on like January 28th. That's the day that Anthony Davis, that news that he requested a trade broke. So I could just see him on January 28th of next year. Sources: Karl Anthony Towns requests trade from Timberwolves. I could totally see a world where that happens. I don't know if they trade him this year, but I think that there's a chance he's traded in the summer. Number 25 is the Chicago Bulls. My bold prediction for them is that Jim Boylen will be fired at the end of the season. I just think that he's a bad coach, and he's going to hold them back from surprising people. Like some people think that they might surprise this year. I think he's the reason why they don't. Number 24, I have the Memphis Grizzlies. My bold prediction for them is that Ja Morant will be the consensus in the media, people saying he deserves Rookie of the Year because he'll play more games than Zion. But Zion wins it solely because he's Zion Williamson and Zion, and it's going to be similar to Shohei Ohtani, Miguel Andujar in the American League Rookie of the Year last year. Like, Ohtani won it solely because of name recognition, and that's why I think that there's a chance if Zion's like injury prone throughout the season and he still wins Rookie of the Year, it's because he's name recognition, and the narrative is that he's the most polished rookie, just like that was the narrative for Shohei Ohtani last year in baseball in the American League. 23 is the Washington Wizards. My bold prediction for them is that Scott Brooks gets fired. I just think that the Wizards are a dysfunctional franchise, like the Knicks, like the Bulls, and they'll fire their coach. The Cavs did it last year, so I couldn't include them on the fired coach list. And I actually think that John Beilein will work out. Number 22, I have the Orlando Magic. My bold prediction for them is that Markelle Fultz does not show progress, and we proclaim him among the biggest busts we've ever seen. Number 21, I have the Oklahoma City Thunder. My bold prediction for them is that Billy Donovan gets fired. I think that the Thunder are a team that wants to be competitive in the West, even though the West is loaded. And there's a lot of teams I have with lower win projections in the West than higher projections in the East because of how good I think the Western Conference is at the heavyweights and those top 5 teams. So that's why I have some of those like teams I project that have worse records than others higher in the power rankings because of the strength of the conference, as you've seen here so far with like the Thunder and the Grizzlies and the Timberwolves being higher than some may think. And the Thunder, I don't know if they'll trade Chris Paul. I think that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will have a good season, but I just think that Billy Donovan's time has run its course, and I think eventually he'll be coaching in college basketball in the 2020-2021 basketball season. Number 20 of the Sacramento Kings, my bold prediction for them is that De'Aaron Fox makes the All-Star game courtesy of somebody getting injured. And that's unfortunate. And I'll reveal my All-Star team predictions in my miscellaneous predictions segment coming up next. Next up, number 19, the Detroit Pistons. My bold prediction for them is that Blake Griffin plays in less than 60 games. I just think that guy's injury prone and isn't the same guy he was with the Clippers. 18, I have the Atlanta Hawks. My bold prediction for them is that Trae Young and John Collins make the All-Star team. I think that this team will get off to a surprisingly decent start and a team that could be a little bit over 500, although I projected them to be about 500. But I could see a world where they're a little bit better and then they regress at the end of the year, like kind of knowing that they will make the playoffs and then they sit guys late in the season. So I could see a little bit of that happening. But yeah, I think Young and Collins are really breakout players this year. And the reason why I have those guys in the All-Star game is because I think the Hawks are going to be improved. And the East is short on stars with Kawhi Leonard in the Western Conference now. Kristaps Porzingis, if he was still on the Knicks, he'd be an all-star. There's a lot of guys that have changed conferences other than George Leonard and Porzingis. Obviously, George was with the Pacers. And then the other one, Victor Oladipo, this is injury, coming off the injury, so I don't think he'll be on the All-Star roster. So somebody has to make the All-Star team in the East. So why not Trae Young and why not John Collins? Number 17, I have the Dallas Mavericks. My bold prediction for them is that neither young star makes the Western Conference All-Star roster, and it's because of the strength of the Western Conference, and I don't think the Mavericks are obviously going to be as good as some of these other teams in the West with All-Stars. Number 16, I have the Miami Heat. My bold prediction for them is that they acquire Jeff Teague from the Timberwolves for Goran Dragic and a second-round pick. I think they're going to try to get Chris Paul, but, or not that they'll try to get Chris Paul, my bad. They'll try to get Kyle Lowry, and the Raptors don't trade him. And they don't want Chris Paul because I just don't think anybody wants Chris Paul. So instead they settle on Jeff Teague of the Timberwolves and package Goran Dragic and a pick for him. So they get a little more defensive with their roster. Number 15, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm not dropping them because of the Zion injury. This is kind of like how I project the season a little bit by these teams. Meanwhile, I have some of these teams that have in the lottery ahead of playoff teams. Like I said, it's because of the strength of the Western Conference more so than anything. My bold prediction for the Pelicans is that Zion Williamson makes the All-Star team despite injury-riddled rookie season. Because, yet again, he's Zion Williamson. He's special. He's this. He's that. The league is going to put Zion Williamson in the All-Star game. I love this prediction, and I think it's going to come true. Number 14 of the Toronto Raptors, my bold prediction for them is that the team keeps Marc Gasol, Kyle Lowry, and Serge Ibaka and decides to go on a little run and end up making the playoffs, although a bottom 3 seed in the East. Number 13, I have the San Antonio Spurs. My bold prediction for them is that DeJounte Murray is an all-star snub and he averages over 15 points a game in his return season. And if there was a comeback player of the year in the NBA, he'd be my winner. Number 12, I have the Indiana Pacers. My bold prediction for them is that Victor Oladipo returns before the Super Bowl. I think we'll see him like in mid-January, and that would be around the 1-year anniversary of his injury. And the Pacers go on a really nice run to close out the season, and I have them upsetting the Brooklyn Nets in the first round of the playoffs, assuming that Kevin Durant's not there. 11, I have the Portland Trail Blazers. My bold prediction for them is that the team fires Terry Stotts after the season. I hated making this prediction because I'm a fan of Stotts, and I think he's a very good head coach. And I think he gets fired and gets one of these like bad rebuilding team jobs like the Knicks or the Bulls or something like that. He'd be a good fit for one of those 2 rebuilding teams in the East. I don't see him going to Charlotte, but he'll be the hot coaching name out there this summer as they fire him. And I could see New York or Chicago getting him to replace either David Fizdale or Jim Boylan. 10, I have the Brooklyn Nets. My bold prediction for them is that after the playoff series defeat at the hands of the Indiana Pacers, there will be drama with Kyrie Irving, which leads to speculation about Kenny Atkinson's future in Brooklyn. And I know Ryan Berger on my podcast was against the idea of Kenny Atkinson being fired, but I won't be dumbfounded if that happens, especially if there's drama with Kyrie and they lose in the playoffs early against a team that they should be able to beat. So that won't surprise me at all if there's speculation about Atkinson's job. 9, I have the Boston Celtics. My bold prediction for them is that the team acquires Bobby Portis from the Knicks for a second-round pick. And I wanted to put Grant Williams in there, but I didn't have the balls to do it. So they just steal Bobby Portis for a second-round pick. Number 8, I have the Golden State Warriors. I probably should have had this team lower, but I just love Stephen Curry and Draymond Green and Steve Kerr. Love the Russell pickup, so I put them pretty high. And like I said, strength of the conference. And my bold prediction for the Warriors is that Jay Crowder comes to the team via buyout. I think Crowder has a bad year with Memphis, and then he gets bought out, and then he goes to the Warriors and rebuilds his value a little bit and ends up playing with Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson once he's back, and D'Angelo Russell and Draymond Green. That would be a nice crunch time 5 against the Clippers in the first round. 7, I have the Utah Jazz. My bold prediction for them is that the team acquires Matthew Dellavedova from the Cleveland Cavaliers for a second-round pick. I think the Cavs are going to be bad, and they'll trade Matthew Dellavedova for the second time in, I believe, that'd be 3 years. Number 6, I have the Denver Nuggets. My bold prediction for them is that the team acquires Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards for Juan Hernangomez, Bol Bol, Gary Harris, and 2 first-rounders. I think that they signed Beal, and ultimately they trade him. They do with the New York Giants, they with Odell Beckham Jr. 5, the Houston Rockets. My bold prediction for them is that the team trades for Robert Covington of the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that would be a fantastic pickup for that team as they give away a first-round pick, maybe a second, and I could see them sending over like one of their young guys on their roster. I don't know if it'll be Gary Clark or somebody like that. Maybe it's that the point guard Sharmari Pons, the ex-St. John's product, so maybe it's one of those 2 guys, but I initially had Thad Young written down for the Rockets, but I think it's going to be Robert Covington, who eventually goes to Houston, who makes that team even better. Number 4, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. My bold prediction for them is that Wayne Ellington comes over via buyout. I think the Knicks buy out Wayne Ellington after they can't find the trade partner, and he goes to the Lakers and shoots some big threes for them off the bench. Number 3, I have the Milwaukee Bucks. My bold prediction for them is that Giannis Antetokounmpo plays some time at the center position. I think that this is something that Mike Budenholzer should explore. I proposed a trade for Kelly Oubre before, so let's say they acquire him, and then they would have Eric Bledsoe. They have Chris Middleton, and then maybe they throw in Wesley Matthews if he's still on the team, and you make Chris Middleton, Kelly Oubre your stretch 4, and then Giannis could be your center. So I think you'll see some time with Giannis Antetokounmpo at center. The Philadelphia 76ers are my number 2 team. They obviously are my pick to represent the East in the NBA Finals. My bold prediction for them is probably the funniest bold prediction on the list, and that is that Ben Simmons makes more than 5 3-pointers this season, and most of them will come in home games, and the crowd will go ballistic. And number 1, the Los Angeles Clippers. My bold prediction for them is that the team trades Jerome Robinson in a second rounder to Memphis for Andre Iguodala, who I think would put the Clippers over the top. And that's another reason why I picked them over the Lakers. I have a feeling it's going to be them that lands Andre Iguodala and not the Lakers. So that's pretty big. Some miscellaneous predictions I'm going to just throw out. Just 5 of them. 1, I think that multiple games on ESPN and TNT will be flexed. I'm going to say over 5, because I think there's a chance that some of these teams that they have on national TV a lot aren't as good as you think. And I think they want to put the Hawks on there because I think the Hawks are going to be better than people think. If things go poorly with the Pelicans, maybe they'll take away some of their games. So I think you'll see more than 5 games flexed out of the ESPN TNT slates, and maybe even ABC if things go really, really south for one of the contenders. Number 2, I think there will be an NBA player on Season 3 of The Masked Singer. Season 3 of The Masked Singer starts right after the Super Bowl in February. And who knows, maybe there is an NBA player on Season 2 and we just don't know it yet. But I have a feeling there will be an NBA player on Season 3 of The Masked Singer. And I had to guess who? I'm going to go with Stephen Curry because he's a player that plays in California. He's a big name that the average person knows. So why not Stephen Curry? And then he'd be great for that show. Although I think it'd be big time if it was LeBron, but I'm going to go with Stephen Curry. 3, I'm going to say that Mike D'Antoni and the Rockets part ways after the season. That should have been my bold prediction for the Rockets, but I'm going to put it in the miscellaneous. I think they lose in the first round, and they do they're going to say they parted ways, but really he gets fired. It's similar to what the Cubs did to Joe Madden this year, what the Yankees did to Joe Girardi a few years ago. And you see it around sports, and you're going to see it here with the Rockets after they lose in the first round to the Lakers this year, that Mike D'Antoni will no longer be the coach of the Houston Rockets, and maybe he's looking for a new job. Maybe he'll be the head coach of the Chicago Bulls in the 2020-2021 season, and maybe Terry Stotts goes to the Knicks. So there may be 2 good head coaches out of jobs in the Western Conference come May. Number 4, miscellaneous bold prediction. I'm going to say that there's going to be another, controversy in the NBA, something similar to the annoying China controversy with LeBron and Daryl Morey, but I don't know what it is, but there's going to be some annoying controversy that will steal headlines for a few weeks in the NBA. And number 5, I'm going to say that there will be multiple brawls in NBA games this year because there's so many rivalries now. We have the 2 LA teams, the Rockets with the LA teams. In the East, potentially, I could see the 76ers and somebody getting in it with each other because of Embiid, and some people don't like Embiid, so I could see that. Maybe the Warriors and somebody because of Draymond Green. I could see even some bad teams like the Knicks being involved in some stuff because why not? I could totally see the Knicks getting involved in some brawls and whatnot because they have some of those kinds of guys now like Bobby Portis and Marcus Morris, although I think one of those guys will be traded by the deadline, maybe both of them. Wouldn't surprise me if the Brooklyn Nets were involved in some stuff with Kyrie Irving. I don't see the Celtics being a brawly kind of team. Don't think the Pacers are going to be involved in any of that. Maybe the Bucks, because who knows, maybe Giannis has a little bit of more toughness to his game now, so I could see a world where they're involved in some brawls. And last but not least, before we go, my All-Star predictions. My predictions on how the All-Star teams will shake out. I'm going to start at the East. My guards, Kyrie Irving and Kemba Walker. My forwards, Jimmy Butler, Giannis Antetokounmpo, and Joel Embiid. Reserves, guards, Trae Young, Karis LeVert, Ben Simmons. Forwards, Pascal Siakam, Al Horford, John Collins. My wild card, Jason Tatum. In the West, my starters are Steph Curry, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, Anthony Davis. Reserves, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Jokic, Rudy Gobert, and Zion Williamson. And I have De'Aaron Fox in there as that replacement player. Maybe it's for Zion, who knows. But I'm going to say the West wildcard Zion, and somebody random gets hurt, and De'Aaron Fox replaces somebody, whether it's Paul George, I could see him sitting out the All-Star game, or Kawhi, or somebody. But I think that De'Aaron Fox replaces somebody that gets injured from the Western Conference on the All-Star game roster. So there you have it, 2019-20 NBA predictions. I can't wait to look back on this in a year from now and see what the heck I got wrong and give myself credit for something I got correct. I hope you guys have a great night, everybody.